Hey, what's up? Welcome to the Ninja News. I'd like to make a special shout out to one of my favorite martial artists and friends and teachers, Grandmaster Julius Baker Jr. I'd just like to say thank you so much for all that you have taught me and all that Sulin believed. No, thank you for all of the different things you taught me about, in the martial arts, all of the kicks and punches and time and energy that you spent with me when I was a youngster. You know, I was wild and young, and you took me in when I was like 14 years old. And they used to call me Kung Fu, but you changed my name to Quick Kick, and the rest basically is history. I ended up winning my first tournament. I remember that one day I wasn't planning on fighting. I didn't bring my uniform, I think, and you're like, oh, you're gonna fight today. And I was like, no, I'm not fighting, I'm not competing. You said, yes, you're gonna compete. I go, no, I don't have my uniform. Then he said, you know what? I'll get a uniform for you. So then I was like, well, I don't have a cup. He goes, don't worry, I'll get a cup. I'll buy you a cup. I was like, oh man. I said, I ain't got no money. He said, don't worry, I'll pay. So man, that's the kind of man that Grandmaster Julius Baker is. So I ended up competing that day at the Oakland Community Learning Center, and I took 3 first place trophies. First, I took first place in what's called one-step sparring. Then I took first place in Kata division, and then I took first place in junior boys, 14 to 16. That was a great day. Man, what a big impact. From that point, I knew that martial arts was my thing, and the tournament, you see, was something I was going to be doing. It was on the stage. So from that point on, I went on to winning. I think at the age 16, I won World Taekwondo Championships at Berkeley. And man, Mr. Baker was really on my side. I remember I was fighting and winning. He said, one fight at a time. And we're at the Berkeley Harmon Center gym. So I fought, and then finally I was about to fight for the finals, and my ankle was so swollen that I was like, I didn't know if I could make it or not. It's almost like the real Karate Kid story. So, he put ice on it, he helped me and told me, hey man, listen, you could do this. You just gotta focus, you could do it. So I went out there and I focused, and guess what? I got the gold medal. From that point on, it's like tournament after tournament after tournament. Then we started doing shows, and I brought the record. He had a record player at the Malcolm X school where we were training in the cafeteria, and I brought 2 of my albums because I had been practicing at home with Michael Jackson, and I had been practicing with Enter the Dragon. So I said, hey man, check this out. So I put Enter the Dragon on, and he let me play it, and I showed him my little creative form, and he goes, oh man, that's bad, that's good, that's good. And I was like, oh, I go, but that's nothing, watch this. So then I did it to Shake Your Body Down to the Ground by Michael Jackson, and he's like, man, we got something here. We got to take that to the circuit. So the next tournament that was coming up was the U.S. Top 10 Nationals. And so yeah, we took the tournament to the U.S. Top 10 Nationals, and I remember we had a long extension cord and a radio, and we connected the 2 of them, put the plug in and blasted the music, and tell you the truth, man, the crowd went crazy. That was the first time that martial arts and music was on the circuit, and it was super tight. I mean, every move, I was doing gymnastics. I had to be about somewhere in my teens. I don't know, about 17 years old, but anyway, I was doing backflips and jump spinning kicks and going into the splits and kipping up. I mean, man, that form was super tight. So I won the U.S. Top 10 Nationals that day. And matter of fact, Cynthia Rothrock and George Chung were in competition too, but they didn't have no music. They didn't have no creative forms. I mean, they were doing their thing, but that particular day, guess who won? And so thank you, Master Julius Baker, for all of the times that you were there for me. And as a matter of fact, I was telling somebody the other day how Mr. Miyagi gave Daniel-san a nice car for his birthday in the movie The Karate Kid. But when I was 16, Master Julius Baker gave me a movie camera. And man, I took that movie camera and ran with it. So I started making my own movies at 16 years old. I remember one time we went to Grandmaster Kenny Yoon's school, and I wanted to play my movies. So Grandmaster Kenny Yoon said, okay, yeah, okay, you can play your movie. So when I got ready to play the movies, all the lights went out, and I was starting off with the Chinese Connection. And he's like, no, I don't want to see no Kung Fu-y, no Kung Fu-y. So I was like, oh, I'm sorry. What about my movie? Can you watch my movie? He said, okay, let's watch your movie. And then when I played my movie, he really liked it. Everybody liked it. And so I just said, you know what? Movies and martial arts, that's my thing. So as the time went on, you know, I would perform with Master Baker and his team. Thank you, Mr. Baker, for, you know, helping me to just tone all of my techniques and just get sharper and sharper. And sparring with Mr. Baker was super good too. I remember one time we were sparring and he told me, you're gonna always have to do high kicks. You could do low kicks, and that's even faster. But I still was determined to do high kicks, and he leaned back and ding, kicked me in the groin. It wasn't too hard, but I was like, oh man, ooh. He said, see, that's why you should kick lower. So I was like, okay. So the next time I came back to class, we were sparring again, and he went to do a jump kick. And guess what? Bing! I got him with the kick to the groin. He was like, man, you learn real fast. Anyway, we had a lot of good times. You know, we went through some storms too, but he was always there for me, and he taught me so many different tricks and kicks and punches and hand techniques and survival techniques. I was telling my son the other day, Mr. Baker told me one point, I was standing at the karate studio going through some hard times, and Mr. Baker said, no, you're not going to be no karate bum. You're going to get you a job, and you're going to work like everybody else. So I was like, what a little buckwheat thing there, all right? So the next thing you know, I went to the job, and I came back, and I told him how they weren't hiring. He goes, yes, they were hiring. It was my friend who was the manager. I specifically talked to him about giving you a job there. So if you don't want to work at McDonald's, then you know what? You need to get you a broom and go somewhere else. And I was like, so I went down to my cousin Kenny's studio, and I stayed there for a little while, but I just stayed really busy. But yeah, lo and behold, you know, I went out, got me a job, and started working and teaching martial arts at the Family Fitness Center in San Jose, because I ended up moving to San Jose, and that's where I met Ernie Reyes Sr. Well, first I met Ernie at a tournament, but when I moved down to San Jose, Ernie had a studio, one of his Ed Funk studio down the street, which was one of West Coast studios. And Ernie asked me if I'd be on his demonstration team. You know, he was about to get this demonstration team started. Just like the motor, I was like, okay, let's start this thing up. So we went on, so I went on tour with Ernie Reyes and West Coast demonstration team. I mean, we were washing cars and struggling it out, making us money to go to big tournaments. Like we went to the Long Beach Internationals, the Battle of Atlanta. But guess what? I was the only one on the West Coast demonstration team that wasn't Ernie's student. But I was Ernie's friend. And thanks to Grandmaster Julius Baker, I took my skills with me, and I ended up being the opening act on ESPN for the West Coast demonstration team. And I performed to Dirty Mind by Prince, who I met Prince probably about 1978. But that song, Dirty Mind, has stuck with me, and that's the kind of zone I was in. So I competed. Actually, that day I performed, and that was the first time martial arts was taken on television with music. That was so cool. And some people ask me what made me want to also do martial arts with music besides, you know, the different, I was into music 100%. My first dancing contest I won in Chicago, I was about, how old was I? I think I was like about 11 years old. And that's the first time I performed on stage to Kung Fu fighting as well. So by the time I met Julius Baker, I took all of that together, and we just took it on tour. And, you know, I ended up being a world champion, forms, fighting, and weapons. A member of the Black Belt Hall of Fame, you know, on the West Coast demonstration team. And ended up coming out in all the top martial arts magazines. Listen, the main thing I'm trying to tell people is you can do it, but you got to put your mind into it. It takes a lot of focus, and it takes a lot of work. It ain't no easy way to the top. You're going to have to work. You got to go through it. Just like in the movie Fame, Debbie Allen was saying, you want fame? Well, you're going to have to work, and you're going to have to work hard for it. She was not lying. I mean, I'd have been on tour. I've been in airplanes and jets, and I went to Hawaii, all expenses paid. Man, I performed over there. But I'd like to say all of that to say thank you, Grandmaster Julius Baker, for all of your techniques and support and kindness and strengths and everything that you put into making Chucky Quick Kick Curry who he has become today. You put so much into me. Anyway, I got to get ready to go to work, everybody. So take care of yourself. God bless. And so this is a shout out for Grandmaster Julius Baker Jr., United Martial Arts Federation. Peace and love. Deuces. See you next time. God bless. Don't stress. Ciao, Bella.